Welcome. Thanks so much for watching. I'm just going to get straight into this. I am so excited. Oh, happy May the 4th be with you day, by the way. 'Tis the season. But I am so excited for the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus limited series. You might have gathered, watching this right now, I'm a little bit of a Star Wars fan. Star Wars is my backdrop. You might see a certain young Mandalorian foundling here. And of course, the classic 1977 masterpiece emblazoned on my t-shirt. But without going into all things Star Wars too much, I want to narrowly focus in like a proton torpedo on the trench run into the Death Star. Boom! And like Luke, I'll be letting the Force guide me rather than all this technical mumbo jumbo. I want to focus on the Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series, but more importantly than that, I'm going to micro focus in on the rematch potential of Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader.
We meet again at last.
Stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to go through my 5 reasons why I've gone from being, no, it's blasphemy. Obi-Wan and Vader didn't fight again after Mustafar until the Death Star scene in A New Hope. Anything else than that is projection, is blasphemy. I remember watching the old movie talk days where Christian Harloff, who I'm a big fan of by the way, would always say, well, in the line of Return of the Jedi, it suggests that Obi-Wan and Vader had another skirmish in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And I'd be like, no, I'd be on John Campion's side. That is blasphemy. That is blasphemous things there. But obviously, when I knew they were going to make an Obi-Wan at the time movie, I was thinking, oh, they're going to put Vader in, aren't they? They won't be able to resist. Everything's an origin story. You're going to shoehorn Vader in. Then, when it was announced to a limited series, I was like, you know what? When they made it clear that there is going to be Vader because Hayden Christenson's returning as Anakin Skywalker, and I'd be thinking, cool, flashbacks. But then that shot of Darth Vader was released in the Entertainment Weekly magazine, I believe. It was very clear that we're getting Vader. I kind of came round to the idea. And that is the basis of this video. Not wanting a pre-New Hope match between Vader and Kenobi, to me saying, you know what? I think it could work. So you might have noticed if you're a regular watcher, again, if not, you can rectify that by subscribing below. And we also have a podcast where we talk about all things Entertainment Weekly on Spotify, Stitcher, all the good platforms, all that jazz. But let's narrow in like the tractor beam to this video. Jay is missing from this one. She's not been abducted by the Empire or gone rogue. She just thought she'd sit this one out because I'm going full Star Wars nerdy on this video. And she's like, frankly, she's like, I love Star Wars, but I'll let you do the technical readouts. So here we go. My first reason for coming around to the idea of Obi-Wan versus Vader pre-match, we're going to call it, is one, it explains why the fight in A New Hope is so slow. Listen, real world reasons why it's so slow, because it was inspired by Japanese martial arts and not Chinese martial arts. Don't know if you notice, again, sorry for martial art experts, but this is a sort of my loose definition. Chinese martial arts, the Hong Kong movies, the action movies that we see, the Kung Fu movies, is very fast, it's very fast paced, it's very acrobatic. There's a lot of kicks, flips, spins. You see it in The Phantom Menace where Ray Park, I think, is an expert in wushu, where he's Darth Maul, is a lot more acrobatic and twirls around the lightsaber. George Lucas in the original trilogy was very much inspired by Akira Kurosawa and his movie, The Hidden Fortress, Seven Samurai. So he went for the whole kind of more samurai style, the Japanese style of fighting, which was very much based on the sword, very much slow, methodical, but majorly surgical. An example of this is if you watch Star Wars Rebels, the last season, the one where, spoilers, Obi-Wan faces Darth Maul again. People complain because that fight was over so quick. But I think they didn't get it that that was an example of the mastery that Kenobi has gotten to at that point, where he don't do the jumps and twirls. He ain't got time for that. He's like, I'm taking you out now because you're a threat to my boy Luke and I got to take care of business. So with Japanese samurai based, it was very methodical movement that would just take someone out like that. It was nothing flashy and showy. It was surgically precise. And that's what you're getting in the original trilogy in terms of the style was more inspired by that kind of samurais, old samurais meeting again. See, and also on a technical level, so Alec Guinness was in his 60s. He weren't no martial artist, neither was Dave Prowse in the suit as Vader. So it's a bit lumbering. And when you see reactors, it always breaks my heart when reactors look at that fight and they mock it. You had this whole reimagining fan movie, which made it all fast and make it match more the prequels and phonetic, and I didn't like it. No offense to the person who made it. It was decently done, but I didn't like it because it betrayed the story purposes of this fight. I've always believed that it was a fight of old masters, and when you watch anything regarding old masters, there's a level of respect and a level of what you lose in energy and fastness and jazz, all that stuff, you gain in being precise and being very cerebral, like a game of chess. So in the real world, the actors couldn't do all that fancy stuff. But in the storyline, why I think this explains why the New Hope fight is so slow, and of course by today's standards, we want everything to be fast and acrobatic, is this reason. I believe you're going to see more of what people would have wanted in an Obi-Wan Vader fight in this series. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be fast. But I think that Obi-Wan is going to, because he trained Anakin. And the problem in Revenge of the Sith in that fight is they knew each other's moves. So if you notice, it's pretty even in that move. But Kenobi's a sly old fox. He knew all the moves because he taught Anakin. He was his master. So even though one's more powerful, one is more wise, and they sort of balanced each other out. It was only because Anakin ignored that Obi-Wan had the high ground. Message.
Don't try it.
Obvious metaphor there. That he lost his arm, his remaining arm, and his two legs, and ended up being a kebab on the shores of Mustafar. So I think this time out, there's going to be a lot of the combat between, if there is a fight, I believe Obi-Wan and Vader, it's going to be fierce and savage, but I think there's going to be some damage on both sides. I think Obi-Wan is likely to get injured, and I think Vader is likely to get injured, and I think they would have probably underestimated each other. So by the time of A New Hope, they're a bit trepidatious. They're a bit like, yo, last time we met, we both came out worse for wear. So let's analyze each other's skills and see where the weakness is, because that's the problem. When two people know each other so well and one trained the other, they know all their moves. So this is an example to show the progress of Vader since Mustafar, and maybe Kenobi has to learn a new way to better Vader because he's progressed since they last fought. So this could be a bridge between the very acrobatic and gymnastic fight in Revenge of the Sith and a very plodding, almost awkward fight in A New Hope. But maybe it's like a game of chess. The higher you get up, the more you take your time, but then you make a killer blow at the right move. And even in A New Hope, Vader didn't defeat Kenobi. He sacrificed himself. So for me, that is the reason why I'm visiting a rematch, a pre-match, so they can enhance the A New Hope fight, and we can end the whole bashing of that legendary reunion. Number 2, Lucas retconned throughout the original trilogy. I've said it, Han absolutely, definitively shot first. I don't care what they try and change, even the maker, what he tries to change. Han clearly shot first. It's his character. But anyway, I digress. See, it's a rabbit hole. Lucas has famously retconned his movies, particularly in the original trilogy, changing things here, tweaking things there, retextualizing. One of the changes I hate in the special edition is when Vader goes from silently going to and fro between the Emperor and Luke Skywalker, and what's he going to do? Now it telegraphs it from a mile away saying, no, no. And I'm sitting watching, no, you ruined that perfect silent scene. Anywho, I think, though some people would be purists, and I would have been in that camp, I'm like, what the hey? Does anyone really... This is an exciting opportunity to see Kenobi and Vader at it. And though I thought it broke the canon, nothing can break canon more than The Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. So I'm like, at this point, I just want to see great Star Wars. And the maker himself tweaked things. Did he know that Anakin was really Darth Vader? Maybe. A lot of grey area there. Did he know that Luke and Leia were going to be twins? No, that was blatantly a retcon. There's so much things that have been retconned in the original trilogy, let alone the mythology as it's grown over the years, that they kind of made things up as they went along. I think that's justified for the original trilogy because it's all new, not justified for the sequel trilogy. I hear another video coming on, as well as the screams of a million voices crying out in terror and suddenly silenced that Star Wars fandom. So, yeah, what the hey? Let's just enjoy Ewan McGregor in this role that he just is excellent in and have another rematch of the century. Old school Star Wars. I'm so here for it. Number 3. An Obi-Wan v Vader pre-match gives the opportunity for Kenobi to actually, try and save Anakin, try and believe that there was good in him. And this is where I take in the Christian Harloff's point that in Return of the Jedi, Vader's convicted, he's torn. Luke gives himself up and is brought to him. They have a little chat. And Luke's trying to convince Vader that Anakin still is alive in him and he's denying and suppressing it. And he says, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. You could massage that line and say, well, just in general, Obi-Wan's philosophy was the light side is stronger. But there is also an interpretation that reads that perhaps Obi-Wan did try and haul Anakin back to the light. Of course, you don't see that in the prequel movies because by the time they meet again at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Anakin is freshly, newly christened evil emo Sith Lord, and there ain't no redemption there. He's just on a warpath for killing, and Obi-Wan ain't got time to try and convince him. He's just like fighting, and the most he gets is seeing Anakin lying on the ground, and he talks to him past tense. You were my brother Anakin. You were the chosen one. He ain't reaching out an olive branch or an olive lightsaber. He's like, you did. You gone far to the dark side. See you later. Later's gators. So he goes and he's like, leaves him to burn and become a crispy barbecue. I digress. So you don't actually see Obi-Wan wrestle with the humanity of Anakin Skywalker locked within the shell of Darth Vader. You don't really see that. And I think we've always believed as OT fans that Mustafar and Death Star, that was the only points of contact, nothing in between. Now having another skirmish in between, and especially because this series is set 10 or 9 years before A New Hope, that's still long enough to for Vader to think that Kenobi is dead, especially depending on how they separate. Maybe it's a frantic escape and it's ambiguous what happens to Kenobi. And 2, for it to be long ago. 9-10 years is quite a long time not to see someone, especially if you hate their guts and you're like, I hate you, full yellow Sith eyes. I hate you. That leaves us to the 4th, how many fingers? Number 4 reason why I'm okay. I've warmed up to the idea of the Kenobi Vader pre-rematch is the modern visual effects. Listen, what Deborah Chow did with the episodes of The Mandalorian was breathtaking. The fact that what I love about The Mandalorian is it has the old trilogy aesthetic, the vibe, the feel, with the modern technology that is just out of this world, literally. It makes you believe that you're there in the environment. It's that perfect mix of gritty, realistic, lived in, which is classic Star Wars, that lived in universe, as well as just vistas and visuals that are just otherworldly, to say the least. The teaser for Obi-Wan, when you see him on Tatooine, they've really overdone Tatooine. So I think, though, it breaks headcanon again, that Obi-Wan leaves dusty Tatooine, because they've done The Mandalorian there and Book of Boba Fett. We kind of want to see a different environment. And clearly they deliver that, as you see him go to a whole different environment that looks like a kind of Blade Runner-esque Hong Kong kind of futuristic city planet, which hopefully you'll get some interesting action sequences. In Deborah Chow, I completely trust. Yes, it's progressive. It's a female. She's a female director, a female director of color, and all those progressive things. Yay. But more important to me, she's just got an excellent eye and grasp of the material. And I just think that she's just perfect for this job based on the sample of episodes I've seen. So I can't wait to see what she does with the blending of the techniques, particularly to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. So hopefully there's flashbacks in characters that I think were really good potentially in the prequels. For me, the prequels is great storytelling, challenging execution, and they're both good, great actors, but George wasn't so much interested in the acting performances. So to see those actors return to those beloved characters with a director who's more concentrated on the performance and the emotion.
Good job.
I'm so here for it. So the last one, number 5, my 5th reason why I have warmed up to the idea of a Kenobi v Vader pre-match is as followed. I just love these characters. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love Darth Vader? And they better bring James L. Jones back to do the voice, or at least do what they did with the Book of Boba Fett, where they had Luke Skywalker. Apparently, Mark Hamill didn't record those lines. It was Ukrainian-based technology that literally took a bit like how they did for the face, took old vocals and created new words with, isn't it scary, AI technology. It's like something out of, not Star Wars, because that's sort of old retro, but more Star Trekian. Very scary. But anyway, do that with James L. Jones. If you can't get him to do it, take his voice, his vocal performances, and just put new lines with it, make new words. But you gotta have classic Vader speaking if you've got classic Vader visuals. I love me Darth Vader since I was 3 years old, when I first saw Star Wars, as he walks onto the scene, walks onto the Tantive 4 in those opening scenes of A New Hope. I just have so many childhood memories of that. I was both scared and terrified of Darth Vader and captivated by him all at the same time. Obi-Wan Kenobi, again, from Sir Alec Guinness. I just found him the loving, fatherly figure. He was just really brought gravitas to that original movie and throughout the trilogy as a comforting, wise old sage. I love the casting of Ewan McGregor in the prequels. He was a highlight of those movies, which I gotta be honest, I struggle with. I don't really dig them too much, but there's parts of it that I can see the Lucas magic and a lot of it that I find problematic. But this is more of a positive video, so let's keep the force on the light side. So seeing those two characters played by the actors McGregor and Christensen as Anakin, obviously a body double for Vader, I just love the opportunity to explore new levels of storytelling with these classic old guard foundational characters. Star Wars is very much, yes, it's Luke Skywalker, but it's very much Darth Vader and very much Obi-Wan Kenobi from Dot. These are legacy characters that they have the opportunity to really add layers to them and to execute in the way. And in some ways, I don't mind. I do get some enjoyment from the Revenge of the Sith fight. But this potential new fight between Obi-Wan and Vader, it feels like it could be what I always imagined it to be pre the prequel. As a fan fantasizing about what the old storyline, the old events pre the first Star Wars movie, that big falling out with Obi-Wan and Vader, right? We knew from material, EU expanded universe material, that there was a lava incident that burned Anakin and they fell out. So to actually see a fight with amazing effects, great direction, and actors that we have attachments to, or characters rather, as well, have this epic skirmish, the good outweighs the bad, or the opportunities outweigh the problems or the breakings of head cannons. I hear a million fans have their head cannons broken and then suddenly silenced. So that is my 5 reasons why I have come round to the idea of a rematch between Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi versus his former apprentice turned Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader. I think that there's solid reasons. Again, would I have been okay if they just didn't go there and just had Vader in flashbacks, or Anakin just sort of the dark night of the soul of Obi-Wan Kenobi coming to terms with the past? Yeah, that'd have been cool. But let's face it, it would have been boring if you didn't see Vader. Boring if there wasn't a lightsaber fight. And though they've brought the Inquisitors in, again, that's in the trailer, no spoilers, the teaser, I think that's the warm-up, that's the meal, the entree, rather, to the main meal, which we all want to see, is an opportunity. If you're going to do it once, take your shot. The only problem is if they don't execute it right, you're going to have the wars all over again. It's going to be chaos in the Star Wars fan community. Can we not just all bring balance to the Force? Deborah Chow, no pressure, Lucasfilm. But I have faith, because I think Ewan McGregor wouldn't have taken on this. Listen, he's had 20 years of putting up with bashing of the Star Wars prequels. I don't think my guy is going to go through it again in another dud project. And again, I know people love the prequels. I'm just talking about how the majority of the populace responded at the time to those movies. He's not going to sign up to another project that breaks the hearts of so many fans and the public. So I've got massive faith in this. It's a new day. I have a new hope. See what I did there? So what do you think? That's what I think. Do you think this breaks headcanon in a way that's unforgivable? Or do you think it's one of the most exciting things to happen to Star Wars in a very long time? Are we going to get a special? By the time I've recorded this, there may be some kind of teaser clip or something of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, that, sure, I'm going to be getting on to checking the internet and I'll react to it. But in the interim, let us know in the comments below. Again, I do this show with Jay, but she's benched this one because she thought, I'll let you go full nerdy Tony, full Star Wars fanboy. But let me know what you think in the comments, and stay tuned for more videos on entertainment, reaction and chat, all things geek and all things culture. We like to mesh it all together and give our opinions, win, lose or draw. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And may the 4th be with you. Even if you're watching this on the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th of May, whenever.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you really enjoyed this video, please subscribe below, where also we have more videos on entertainment, opinion and chat. You're really going to enjoy it. Also, if you really enjoy it that much, we have a weekly podcast on all platforms. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.